Hello and welcome to the director's commentary for the first episode of Bombay. I'm Vikram Tapadia, and that is a big, loud hissing noise you're listening to. Yeah, I'm Vikram. I'm the director and the writer for this episode, and I also created the show. So yeah, here we go. The idea is that you're having this playing in a different tab while you're watching the show. Hopefully not for the first time, because I am gonna be talking over the entirety of it. But yeah, so yeah, that's my friend Simmer walking over there. This is the very first scene of the show, and also the first scene that I thought of when I was just thinking of Bombay and thinking of where the story and the character is going to go. And now we pan to her. This was pretty difficult to get the exact pan that I wanted, and Bhavya, our cameraman, also. I think we did 4 or 5 takes of this. The pan to the character is pretty reminiscent of Mad Men, and the first scene there where we just go over the crowd at the bar and then go to Don Draper's, the back of his head. But unlike Mad Men, I think our next shot is pretty cool. The cigarette twirling thing. And here's Puru. We had him only for about 90 minutes, and he's such a trooper. I just basically asked him for a favor if he could play this role. But yeah. Now, I will make this clear in the commentary here because this has been a point of confusion. She is imagining him. That's why they're looking in the same direction as well. That was an intentional choice he made while directing. Also, the scene was originally going to be set outside. I had an entire set of she's gonna be sitting on this table, he's gonna be over there. He originally had a girlfriend as well, but we decided the friend group was gonna work better in this cafeteria setting. I mean, it is a little odd that she's twirling a cigarette in the mess, but it still, I think it still works. We had a little trouble with that line, never skip a pre-loved things. But I mean, the entire idea of his character was basically he's gonna say all the delusional, things that she basically thinks she should hear from a guy, and not just any guy, but this is her twisted nightmare version of basically what she thinks she deserves from someone else, or someone that gives her attention. What is happening here is that this is an actual conversation that flows, even if it flows sort of weirdly, it flows according to how Bombay thinks she wants to have a conversation. She's answering questions about herself. He's interested in her. That's not something we see from other characters throughout the show. Maybe Ananya a little bit, but it's something in stark contrast to, let's say, Karan, right? So there we go, and now we get the loud music again, and boom. Okay. And she takes this. And we now cut to our fantastic intro. I am so incredibly proud of it. The idea here was to have scenes with people walking around in them in black and white, and scenes with nobody, in no person in it, in color. I don't know if that was something people picked up on instantly, but yeah. So here we go, black and white, and no one here in daytime. So and might I say, during the sequence, I hate talking over it too, but the music is so incredible. We're so lucky to have Dhruv doing the score, and I didn't even have to send any emails out for recruiting composers or anything. He just mailed me while I was still getting writers for the show. He just mailed me, asked if I needed a composer for the show, and I was like, do I ever? Sarah, of course, did such great posters for the show, the best that the campus has ever seen. We put them up everywhere. And yeah. So this entire commentary is going to be the same length as the episode, so it ideally should be in sync as long as you start both of them at the same time. I don't know why I'm mentioning that right now, but I forgot. It was really difficult to shoot here. We have about, I think, 6 or 7 takes of us just struggling to lock and unlock this door. I don't know what was wrong with it. But yeah, this entire residence hall, really, all the corridors look like they're in an asylum or a hospital or something. But yeah, that sort of adds to it. I think that was the mantra for the show in general while shooting. Any problem that we ran into just adds to it. It's a metaphor or whatever. Also, I've heard a lot of people ask till now, so I'll just say it here. We had someone standing on, like, over them. Bhavya is such a trooper, but yeah, that's how we shot the sequence. And the idea is that in the next scene, or like not scene, but right after this, it's morning, and then this, like, Rohan's character is gone, but like Mika's still there. So Bhavya had to stay standing in the same position, and then I ran and opened the blinds, and boom, it was morning. Something I didn't think of while writing the scene and this transition that you're about to see here is that, yeah, a lot of people thought that this guy was imaginary as well, since he disappears. The lighter guy had disappeared as well, but no, he's just gone for his class or something. He's not fake. At least not until we retcon him as fake. But yeah. These notifications is really annoying to animate for some reason. And yes, the character she's with right now has an important role to play later. I'm not going to say anything, but yeah, they were sort of annoying. Now we're in the pantry scene. So fun fact for those who don't know, but this pantry is in a completely different building than the one she was sleeping in right now. So this is in fact in the same building we shot like Gayatri and Bombay scenes in those corridors. And I like this transition, that wasn't so bad. Okay, so this scene again was originally supposed to be in the middle of the mess lawns with, like, they were sitting on concrete benches. Rescheduled, I mean, we shifted locations because we could not reschedule any longer. We had these two guest actors with us as well, and it was pouring that day. So because of those two concerns, and we just had to get it done, we used these sheds and we just made do with the rain. Poor Mika, she was sitting right under like a gap between the sheds, so she was getting wet constantly, and we actually thought she might even fall sick by the end of it. But yeah, we just had to get it done, and luckily she did not fall sick. So yeah, good thing. These two are supposed to be really annoying. Um, I think Shashank and Yashika did accomplish that, but yeah. Also, this is one of the last scenes I wrote for the second draft, I think. Not second. I'm not sure. This is one of the last scenes that I did write. It was annoying to finish in the end, too. I mean, I had one version where they're talking about politics. I had one version where they're talking about, sex. The final product was a little bit of both, like you see right now. Just, I mean, not just sex in general, but like fresh version sex. But yeah, basically, it had to be these sort of boring topics that Bombay had virtually no interest in. That was like the aim here. What's really interesting here is that Shashank's character here says, he has this entire story about how he loves when people say his name, and he has no idea who they are. And later on in the show, I mean, in this very episode, the very first time we say the word Bombay out loud is when an off-screen extra says "Good morning, Bombay," and then something's triggered inside her, and she runs to the newspaper club. So yeah, spoilers in case you. I hope this is not the first time you're watching this with your commentary as well. But like yeah, so that was when I had sent the script to a few friends for feedback. One of them pointed that out instantly, like this is supposed to be like a reference to this scene, and I swear to God, I had not thought of it at all. This guy was supposed to be just an arrogant asshole who had this story, and later I had thought of like that's me by the way walking in the background, but yeah, a little director cameo. But yeah, that was really interesting how that panned out. Like I mean, I don't know, maybe my brain just subconsciously made a link between those two scenes. I have no idea how it came about. It's too direct to like actually deny, but I'm really honest when I say I did not think of it. This scene was also a little bit difficult to shoot with the tracking shot, and then we did eventually have to use these short reverse shots. But yeah, Bhavya did a really good job. I think this is the only tracking shot that he filmed, and the others, uh, some of them I did, some of them I don't remember if Sean did as well. But this came out really well. He did a splendid job. I don't think he ever used a tripod in the. I don't think we used a tripod at all for any scene in the entire episode. But yeah. The food in this case was supposed to be like actual food, like actual dinner. I mean, not it wouldn't be great, but it was going to be actual food. It ended up being a cookie because we had shot these scenes earlier than when classes started on campus. So only the tuck shop was open, and we couldn't actually get like, a sandwich or something. I am so incredibly annoyed by this Silvia Plath quote by now. I don't know. This is I think the fifth or fourth time I'm watching the episode in the last few days. Not even counting editing. So yeah, I'm basically done with it. This is Pragya's first scene chronologically, but I think it's the last one we actually filmed. So, and this scene in general was very annoying to shoot because we had reshoots. This was, in fact, the only particular scene that we had reshoots for. We could not get everything done on one day. There was also a version of this scene where Pragya's character was actually. I mean, the one we ended up using from the third draft of the script was where she's running and we start with the voiceover. But another version actually had her running away, and then we cut to this classroom, which a bunch of people just going about their day. And Ananya's character Ananya is actually talking to a senior, like a guy who's sort of hitting on her, but comes off as a little weird. But yeah, I ended up scrapping that in the third draft. I think for time, had to limit it to 50 pages. So. This monologue was very important to me. It basically is the essential, elements of Bombay's character, and it is also very important that she pours her heart out and no one really cares at this point. But yeah, Mika and I rehearsed this several times. It was pretty hard to get right, both in terms of the camera and her performance. Professor Chabra is a reference to a student here. Most of the names, not the character names, but like maybe their surnames and here and there random names that are said are little hints and jokes. There's Sarah, the of the marketing Sarah point of fame, and Arav. Bhaskar was definitely the standout in the scene, though. Not gonna lie. I think this is a pretty underrated shot from the top of her head. I mean, yeah, I thought of it pretty late too. Again, this scene was in our first cut was much longer and much more awkward, but we realized that it's probably more funny to us right now because we know Bhaskar, and to a stranger, it will just be awkward, and it was too long, so we did cut it down. This is actually the shorter version. Oh, is this still working? Oh, okay, yeah. I was worried about that for a second. Also, this is perhaps the worst scene in terms of our audio recording. Yeah, that is actually also why this entire segment, the conversation between them in this episode right now, is probably my least favorite in this episode. It just, Mika's phone just had a lot of problems with the mic, and some of the stuff, it was too late by the time, we were in editing and all. So we just had to make do. But surprisingly, this scene actually did not sound that bad when we screened it at Shoka. I guess the speakers already had, they were already inclined to play noisy audio surprisingly well. So this entire scene, now that I think about it, is more foreboding of what's in store for Nanya than for Bombay. The line she says at the end here, and also the Sylvia Plath monologue about, basically indecisiveness. So yeah, that's a little hint of what's to come for the next episode, I guess. Here we are, blank document, the nightmare for every college student. Okay, she's about to close this laptop, and we're gonna cut to like one of the best shots in the episode. There we go. Probably not the best technically speaking, but definitely a fan favorite. I've been told by a lot of people a lot of times that they like the shot. It's something I wrote into the script. I thought of it while doing the third draft. Like the drawer opens and it's just the camera's there, and we did take a lot of time to plan it. The camera lens that we used, like the camera we used that day, it just barely fit in the drawer, so Mika had to open it very slowly for it to not bang and collapse in a sad mess. There we are. Speaking of sad mess, perhaps this could have been cut down a little bit too. I wonder if this reaction is too long. There's a lot of other awkward filler shots in this scene as well. Oh, this is also, by the way, the first scene ever that we shot. Like this particular thing on the bed with the two of them. Rohan, Mihika, and our cameraman that day, Bhavya, all three of them came early, like before the semester actually started, so we could get a head start on shooting, and also, do these indoor scenes in rooms where it's emptier and there's relatively less noise. So, but yeah, I'm so grateful for that, because we actually got all of Rohan's scenes apart from the lunch scene done before any classes even started that January. So yeah, this English correction thing. I mean, I don't know if this is based on anyone I know in particular, but this giving and taking thing is a fun fact that I've known for quite a while now, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone actually say, like anyone around me say taking an exam clearly, because like in Hindi you say exam dena hai, right? So that's just like translated directly into English by a lot of people as giving an exam, even though it is actually taking in English. I did hear some people actually laugh with this story while we were doing the screening, which is surprising. I mean, thought of it as like a funny, unfunny, like an unfunny, funny story. And you can read that on her expressions while he's going on and on about it without even checking. She's basically doing the damn that's crazy eyes. Yeah, and then she basically says it here. But yeah, some people did find it actually funny, so that's nice, I guess. The satire general, like Karun in general represents Bombay being stuck in this place of mediocrity, right? There's nothing wrong with him, right? He's not a rude person or a bad person. He's just inherently boring. And the satire journal though is what really pisses her off, because she really sees it as like a perversion of her work, right? Like how much she values writing in general and her writing in particular. And this is like really, really beneath her, which is what really pisses her off, because she's already in a place where she's not satisfied with herself, and pursuing the satire journal thing will like push her further into hell. Passion for comedy, I like that line delivery. Also, this scene, I realized that perhaps we've used the word fuck too many times. Yeah, I think it was getting a bit much, and I was like, I did not know I was that foul mouthed while writing this. I mean, we don't really use any other swear, it's just F, 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 F all over the place, which is something we'll avoid from next time, because it really takes away the, gravity of the word if you're gonna have it in every other sentence. Although, I mean, it's not that often. I think there are a few scenes where it's used quite a lot, and then the rest of the show is relatively clean, so. This is a great sequence. We also filmed it, I think this was the first day as well, first or second day. And yeah, the music really carries it here. I mean, Drew's done such a wonderful job. There were points where I considered, I mean, very close to the premiere also, in fact, I considered having some sort of monologue, some sort of narration from Bombay, something, maybe Fincher-esque. I had no idea. But like, I figured initially, like while writing the show, that I would avoid doing that, because the entire point is that she's not heard, right? She's not heard by other people, and if she just vomits out her emotions and thoughts to the audience, it won't really work, and we won't get that feeling. Like even right now, while looking at her, we're not entirely sure what she's thinking, right? So yeah, and she doesn't even have like a sidekick to just blurt that out to, so we know what she's up to. It's something we just have to figure out. She's still unheard even to us, which is somewhat more frustrating for her. So I think it was a good choice to ultimately not go with any sort of monologue, or I don't know, big long sequence of her explaining what she wants from whom and what she thinks of people, etc. We shot this on the second. No, yeah, this shot with the lighter actually we shot while doing the last scene. We ran back to this place and did it because we forgot to do it that day, and we didn't have a lighter anyway. But yeah, this bit we shot on the second day of shooting, I remember. And she's not actually talking right now while walking. I don't know if anyone noticed, but yeah. But yeah, there's a phone to her ear and her mouth not visible, so did this. At one point, I did consider writing lines for the mother as well, but I did sort of want it to be like an unheard, unseen presence in Bombay's life. I mean, similar to how, you know, your childhood and your parents will always have an impact on you no matter how far you go, even if you leave them behind and everything. And in this closed society where she probably hasn't seen her mother in weeks, if not months, her mom still has, an impact on her. And when she impact on her character and how she sees people. And when she actually has an interaction with her, it probably was fitting to not have her voice at all. Also, another problem with that would have been, casting a mom. Although I'm pretty sure my mother would have been very eager to do that. This is another great shot coming up right here. There we go. Yeah, we had to blur out the logo for the university on that lamppost there, but this shot was really good not to use. And this bit right here, where she tips the poster, is actually the last thing for episode 1 that we shot with Mihika. And it wasn't in the script at all. She actually just runs into a person and he drops his books, and then she helps him and he doesn't say thank you and she's mad at him. But we changed it because I was going to scrap another scene later in the episode, so I wanted a little bit of context for like the college congress and that relationship that Bombay has, like a little hint of that. So I feel like it was more fitting to do this. This is my own room in college, by the way. That's why there's so many movie posters and everything. But I guess Gayatri is also a movie buff, so that's just worked into it. It adds to it, I guess. And you can see a Scott Pilgrim poster there in Better Call Saul as well. And here we've got all sorts of stuff: Social Network, video games, Star Wars. Yep. Again, this is the same corridor that we actually shot the pantry scenes in. So yeah, they were in a completely different building. This scene, this was the first, no, this was the second thing we did with Tamanna. The one before this was actually the first only. And I forgot to mention that other scene that was actually half a page, but it took us 2 hours. Anyway, so this scene we shot at 7 a.m. in the morning, and Mika sweater was not enough here at all. And by the end of shooting, like end of production on this episode, Mika sweater was too hot for her. So we really did do all seasons. And Tamanna was still absolutely shivering, even though she's completely decked out right now. But I mean, we all were. It was really cold. Oh yeah, this was a tracking shot. I mean, a very small one, but still. Initially, I thought of even showing the selfie that they've clicked, but yeah, that was a bit much. So yeah. And this walking away shot was originally much longer, but we also cut it down in the second cut of the show. This scene was also really annoying to edit, not just shoot, because the background behind Tamanna, like her, every all the scenes with Gayatri in them in focus were pretty overexposed. I mean, there was nothing we could do about it. It was just the lighting at the time was not very good. I mean, everything focused on Bombay was still fine, but the rest really had to tone it down in post. This is the second thing I think I bought for the cast to eat. The first one was the cookie that Karan gets, and really it really was, it's a pretty bad cookie, but this is a pair of muffins from Fuel Zone, which they enjoyed particularly more. I got 4 of them in case they were finished, and then we had to like do more takes. And later on, of course, I buy them French fries for the last scene. I think that was it in terms of food. But yeah. And Dhruv's score is great here too. I really don't think they do, but yeah, it is a justification. They don't really want to see that much of each other, but I mean, Gayatri does have ulterior motives. The relationship I was really going for here is, although it's strained, at the end of the day, they have this mentality that we're sisters and we're supposed to love each other and yada yada yada. Even though they don't really conform to that completely on their own account, it's more of some sort of obligation they have in their heads. I mean, it is their mother putting them together again and again too, but like, other than that, it's just more of a societal thing that, oh, I guess we're supposed to, take care of each other, even though if they weren't related, they couldn't stand each other, obviously. So we've now had like Bombay speak to two different people at length, and both of them have offered different versions of, like basically for her to do something or the other with herself, right? Like Karan offered the satire journal, and she has offered the politics angle. Bombay's thing very clearly, like that she sees for herself, is to be a writer at the newspaper, but she's been offered these alternatives again and again, and they really do annoy her. But of course, later on in the episode, she finds a way to make use of Gayatri's proposition for her own gain. I mean, I don't know about own gain. We'll see about that, but yeah. This especially hurts because Bombay sees herself as the definitive older sister. Like in their childhood, I had seen them as like, both of them would be like sort of introverted, and Gayatri would come to Bombay for help with things and stuff like that. And Bombay would generally be giving this talk of, this generic advice, but so it really kind of stings that she is getting this from her younger sister. And I think Gayatri is kind of fully aware of that while she's doing this. I mean, she does generally want to help, but at the end of the day, she does know that it'll sting Bombay a little, and she's kind of happy about that as well. This bit was relatively easier to shoot since the door was already unlocked. Yeah. This was also shot on the second day of shooting. I hope it wasn't too awkward for them because, I mean, these two only met each other like the day, like 24 hours before this, but yeah. It was awkward for me for directing a little bit. Yeah, like she has her arm under him right now, and it was pretty awkward to actually shoot, even though it thankfully came across as a little bit of like an actual funny moment here. Originally, this montage was going to be way longer and also repeated from the start of the show, but we only ended up doing it once. But yeah, we had her like change as well. We had her comb her hair even more. Like she's supposed to have hair fall at the scene, and we did sort of like imply it with her taking stuff out of the comb. But yeah, Mika just that day ended up having zero hair fall actually. So this is kind of, yeah, this is a nitbit that this is absolutely fake. There was no hair there. But yeah. In the first montage, the idea was to have her like see hair fall and be distraught by it, and the second one she doesn't care anymore. Is relatively at peace with it. This is something she's not at peace with, and she finally, has had enough with these damn raisins in her muesli. That was also me, by the way. But yeah. So I do get like two cameos in the first episode of my show, which is not too shabby. A lot of people thought I should play a bigger role, but I think this was enough. This was a good moment to a good shot as well. This was the last scene that we shot for this episode. Again at 7 a.m. with the two of them. I mean, we shot this scene chronologically. So this came first, then the one in the lift, and then the one in the corridor. We did around 6 or 7 takes here, around 2 or 3 for the lift, and for the corridor scene that you're about to see, we did, I'm not even kidding, 15 takes, if not more, at least 15. For the lift bit, for the first part, first we tried shooting with me outside the lift and the two of them inside, but the door kept closing automatically. So I ended up just going inside the lift anyway. And I think this is the take that we used, but I was inside the lift as well. But thankfully, there was not much of a reflection in the background there of me standing there with the camera. Yeah, this is the scene. So we did around 20 takes of this, 15 to 20 at least. Really, really tired them. But yeah, it was our very last day of shooting. So, and this scene really needed to be, I mean, I wasn't happy with the tracking as well. I had to do the tracking shot myself. So yeah, just we needed a good take. So did this a lot of times. This was shot on a separate day, but good thing it lines up well. So Dhingra was a character that has been considerably changed from the script to the screen. In the script, he was kind of a wisecracking moron. He did not care about his job at all, and made masturbation jokes. He was slightly misogynistic. He was, he just didn't care. He had this. His last line was admitting that he's doing this just for his CV as a joke, and yeah, he really does not care. He's just there. But Jether consistently played him with such integrity that we ended up changing it, and we will change it for future episodes now. So yeah, Dhingra was considerably altered by our actor and his acting choices, but it still sort of works into the show. Like I did think of two models for Dhingra while first like thinking of the character, and this was one that I had considered. So it's not like it disrupts anything. Although we did have to cut so the idea was that we have this scene, then Bombay goes away, and then we have a much smaller scene with the three of them, Ananya, Pranav, and Dhingra, where Ananya goes with Bombay's laptop, and then Pranav and Dhingra basically have this sort of argument, and Dhingra defends his decision of letting Bombay back into the club. It was a small scene, but we had to cut it for several reasons, and one of them was that Dhingra's character was going to be changed, and that scene does have like a little bit of moments where he's still like his old script self. And also, I mean, I wasn't very happy with how we had done it anyway, and so yeah, it made sense for it to cut that. This scene also took 2 days to shoot. Like, we didn't have reshoots for this, but we didn't have Dhingra or Ananya on the first day. So first day was just me, Mihika, and Pranil just winging their bits. So like this was shot on the first day, what you're seeing right now, and this was on the second day, right? So just splice them together. In the script, we did have a few other extras sitting here as well, like as a part of the club meeting. But ultimately, we decided not to go that way. One, it is hard to get extras, and two, I mean, it made more sense for the club to be almost completely empty and be, at this point, run entirely by Dhingra and Pranav, and of course now they have Ananya as well. But like it was around like Dhingra and Pranav for more or less like many months before this. This is the only scene Rohan unfortunately got with the like other members of the main cast apart from Mika, and yeah, he's only with us for one episode, and he at least he got one scene with Gayatri. I think that's something I'm happy about because we don't have that many cast members interacting with each other. I've realized. I mean, Dhingra will probably never have a scene with Gayatri, and I mean, never say never, but like we have a lot of them contained in their own worlds, which works narrative wise. Like Bombay is the only one who like interacts with all of them individually, but it's nice to have like these actors bounce off like rapport off each other and everything, and see them interact. Love Mika's performance here. This was a really good take. It's also because she had a lot of problems saying fresh start. She would consistently say fresh instead of fresh. So when we finally did a take where she actually did fresh, it was really good. I hope she doesn't have a problem with revealing that information right now. But like it's okay. I told her this then also. She's carried an entire episode as a lead. It's okay if she can't say fresh, right? Um, but yeah, this took 2 or 3 takes as well, and it was me personally, holding the camera here. But yeah, this was also done really well. I think this was a pretty good take. I probably good thing I didn't talk over her breakdown for the most part. But yeah, we're in the last scene ever in this RH. Also, I've been told many times now that Karan is sleeping for the most of the show, which is not entirely true, but I get it now. He starts a lot of scenes with just in bed with his eyes closed, so it's a valid point. This is also, I think, the last scene we shot before classes started. Not entirely sure, at least with the two of them. Oh yeah, this is the last scene that we shot with the two of them, excluding the lunch scene. But just the two of them is the last bit. This need and want thing also harkens back to the very first scene with Lighter Guy, and like how she asks him if she needs it, and then he basically says, no, you want it, and that's a good thing. And we see the opposite here. And I mean, the reason Bombay sort of imagines it that way with Lighter Guy is because I think she already knows everything that Karan stands for and everything that he would say, which is pretty much bang on what he says right now, that you want it and that's kind of a bad thing. But yeah, this ended up being a really good scene, especially like, I mean, I was happy with the way it was written as well, which is odd for me. I usually don't like how I write, but I was really happy with the actors as well. I was really happy with the camera work. I think this scene worked out pretty well. So the scene that we cut was supposed to be between that one and this one, and the problem with cutting it, the one problem we faced was, now it seems like the room she's leaving right now is Karan's room, even though it is actually their room, right? Bombay and Gayatri's room. Now, I did think a lot of people would think that, but it wasn't too big of a problem to actually like change or reshoot this or like add another line or something. Because, I mean, firstly, we did think, we did establish later on when Ananya comes that like Bombay doesn't live here anymore. So, it sort of like reminds us that, okay, wait, this is supposed to be her own room and not Karan's room. And we did see this corridor before too when she left Gayatri, which like before the breakfast scene. So yeah, I hope people do figure that out, and if they don't, then I've just told you right now. So there we go. Also hinting at a friendship at least when we say that Pranav does in fact know Bombay's room number and remember as well. But yeah. So this is actually the first scene that we shot with Pragya. This was also before classes started. I think this was 1 or 2 days before classes started. So that's why this field and everything is relatively empty. And yeah, she is unfortunately in a different outfit, but continuity wise I think it works anyway because she has to go for a date, so it's plausible that she went back to her room to change before they have their little French fry date. Oh, she does. But yeah, it's important for her to like at least give off that impression that she doesn't care about what people think. I don't know how much of the character's internal thinkings I should like actually tell you in this director's commentary because I don't want it to be kind of ruined. But yeah, the scene was shot really well. I think we had pretty good angles here. And the last bit, and I don't want to talk over it at all, so I'm just going to say it right now. But the last bit, when the music swells up and she goes to have smoke, that was, I think that's got to be my favorite little bit in the entire episode if I have to pick one. So yeah, because it just works. Initially, we had a sort of flatter version of her walking and then smoking. But when Dhruv did this music, and we had discussed it, like we first draft he sent me, like I didn't think it was like big enough, so we got back together and I told him we can use a piece that he did from the main theme here, and he did. and then the music was like too good and not good enough for the actual visuals, so I went back and re-edited it, and like we used a few different takes as well. And yeah, so we have more of a build up with her walking up that. There we go. I'm not going to talk over this. So yeah, that was it. I'm gonna end this recording right as the episode ends. So we'll just let the end credits play. But thank you so much for listening. If you've made it this far, I do have a podcast as well. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not gonna plug that. But yeah, thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed the first episode, and yeah, see you next time.